For 1,000 years, European thought centered on rigid submission. The physical body was viewed as a temporary, sinful prison, and the material world was something to merely endure while waiting for the kingdom of heaven. This dogma of self-denial and mortification of the flesh suppressed intellectual curiosity. The search for physical knowledge was equated with original sin, effectively blinding human inquiry for an entire millennium. The institutional stranglehold on the mind finally broke between the 14th and 16th centuries. In Italian city-states like Florence, commercial wealth funded a massive rediscovery of ancient Greek and Roman philosophy, fracturing the medieval framework. This awakening forged a drive for human agency. Instead of waiting for salvation, humanity began to demand command over matter, time, and reality, right here and right now. By the Enlightenment, scientific experiments had demystified human biology. The body was no longer treated as a sacred vessel. It was revealed to be a complex electrochemical mechanism, one that could be studied, repaired, and eventually modified. Stripping the mysticism out of humanity provoked a profound shockwave. In 1882, the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche articulated this collapse by declaring that God is dead. He recognized that the old moral safety net and external source of purpose had vanished. To describe our position, Nietzsche offered a striking metaphor. He called humanity a rope tied between the animal and the godlike Superman, a rope stretching over an abyss. It is a crossing where standing still is impossible. In this vast vacuum of meaning, we are forced to become the active architects of our own evolution. Surviving the crossing over the abyss requires two specific upgrades, one to our mental software and one to our physical hardware. The software upgrade requires a reprogramming of human morality. Before we can safely wield godlike technological power, we have to develop a mind capable of controlling it. The Übermensch represents a state of psychological self-mastery, a mind entirely divorced from primitive fears, social conformity, and the collective instinct of the herd. The exact opposite of this is the last man. This is the human impulse that wants nothing more than lazy, hedonistic comfort, perfect safety, and the erasure of all risk. Attempting to upgrade our technological capabilities without first upgrading this mental software leads directly to disaster. 19th century literature acted as a prophetic warning. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein illustrates the tragedy of a creator who usurps the power of a god by engineering life from dead matter, but lacks the maturity to take responsibility for what he built. A few decades later, Robert Louis Stevenson's Jekyll and Hyde proved another point. If you chemically strip away social restraints from an unevolved mind, you merely release the primitive, violent animal still lurking in the brain's limbic system. Without achieving the rigorous ethical discipline of the Übermensch, granting humanity unrestricted technological power will result in our own self-destruction. Once the mind is prepared, we face the hardware upgrade, the physical transformation of our biological vessel. This was a quest that actually began with the early alchemists. This flowchart illustrates the core of alchemical philosophy. Long before modern chemistry, alchemists were the first to treat reality as a programmable code. Instead of praying for miracles, they used laboratory experimentation to conquer physical death on their own terms. This alchemical mindset, the idea that nature is a work in progress, laid the philosophical foundation for modern bioengineering. True cosmic ascension demands that we eventually discard our current biological hardware. Our physical bodies as they exist today are simply incompatible with the harsh, infinite realities of the universe. When framed as active evolution, the desire to conquer death and re-engineer our own biology ceases to be a fantasy. It becomes a core evolutionary obligation. This line represents entropy, the law that all systems inevitably decay into disorder and thermal death. It is existence's ultimate enemy. But intelligent life actively organizes energy. The cosmists believed we are the universe's immune system, structuring chaos to resist this cosmic decay. Historically, asserting this vast cosmic perspective has been incredibly dangerous. Visionaries like Giordano Bruno, who proposed an infinite universe, were brutally punished by a society that preferred the comfort of its own limitations. Today, we can no longer afford to hide from our potential. We must take up the Promethean tools of our age, artificial intelligence, molecular gene editing, and interstellar travel, and wield them with uncompromising discipline. Our ultimate destiny is to transition from a passive biological accident into an immortal, godlike force. By doing so, we fulfill our highest duty, taking a chaotic, dying universe and organizing it into a harmonious, eternal cosmos.